My name is William, and I'm currently head of digital products at Yoma Bank. So there are different consumer behavior patterns in different markets. Let's say, for example, in Singapore or in Thailand, where e-commerce industries are getting more mature, people are getting used to ordering online. But in emerging countries like Myanmar or Cambodia or Philippines, people are relying heavily on social media to buy their goods and services. So we do have a couple large e-commerce platforms, but on the other hand, people are relying so much on those pages that are set up on Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. So I believe that social commerce is the bridge to enable these digital transactions because all along all these e-commerce transactions has been cash on delivery, but right now with the digital adoption and with the right financing option, these merchants are also preferring to use cashless payment. So that's where we're seeing a little bit of the trend around the customer going into social commerce rather than e-commerce in more mature markets. So right now we're partnering with Wave Money. So we are looking at the value chains in two different segments. So Wave Money being the largest mobile agent and mobile financial services provider in Myanmar, they are covering more than 90% of the geographic locations in Myanmar. So we're leveraging their network and then their data points to serve more interbank and mBank customers, and also at the same time converting some of those agents and merchants into the bank customer with the right product and services around saving, lending, and then eventually credit cards for those customers. And then we're trying to build the convergence of the value chains, so all the way from retail consumer banking to corporate. So we see a big significant driver around supply chain finance. So out of all these retail agents and merchants, they all have to order some goods and services from the distributor or the large corporates that have banking relationship. So that's where we're trying to look at all the data and then do the credit scoring and then enabling all these transactions through retail and business payment ecosystems. Absolutely, right? Because if you look at Singapore or some of the mature markets, the card penetration is the same as the banking penetration, right? So in emerging countries like, let's say, again, Vietnam, Philippines, Myanmar, we have more mobile penetration than a banking penetration. So the only gap that we can close up is how we can enable those customers with a mobile phone to start using financial services. That's where the mobile banking, mobile payment, wallet payments come into place. So that customers who don't necessarily need to have a bank account can enjoy payment services safely and securely. So that's where we're seeing more and more adoption of mobile payments in a country like Myanmar, where we're also working towards building the national QR system like STQR or PromptPay to enable interoperable payment across multiple different wallet players. Yeah, absolutely. So we started embarking on this journey called community banking, where we're starting to provide financial literacy, all these agents. So those agents could potentially become the community leader. So we are looking at different models right now where we could leverage some of the agents and the merchants to become the community leader. Because if we go to the remote areas, there's already a pattern of saving happening with the informal saving group, right? So with those informal saving group, there's always a community leader around collecting the deposit, providing some lending products. So we're looking at different models to educate the customer with financial literacy, and also at the same time how we could potentially replace those informal saving group, lending group with the formal saving and lending products. So that's where we started running a few pilots to test out with a few regions right now. When we talk about, remittance, there's always two factors around international, labor migration and also domestic labor migration, right? So for domestic labor migration, for those people coming from rural areas, they go to usually garment factories in the major cities, and then they don't have the right access to the banking product and services. So that's where they're using the agent channel to transfer the money to the last mile delivery to their friends and family. And also on the other hand, around international labor migration. So for those who are working in Singapore, Thailand, Dubai, in all those countries, right? So they are still using some of the informal channels, but what we find interesting is that even though they could be sending through informal channels, but when the money reach to Myanmar, people are usually using the agent network to distribute to to the remote areas, because that's the only channel and the network that they could send the last mile delivery of the financial products. First and foremost is a network of all the speakers and the delegates that I could get a chance to network and also learn from their experience. And the second is around the latest trend in AI and loan decisioning, etc. Right? So this is also a very refreshing and a good experience for me to get in touch with the industry again and see where we're headed regionally.